Hey everyone, it's Will from Crooked Chicken back with another Walking Dead video, but today it's not just any Walking Dead video, it is the finale for the flagship series. It was streaming on AMC Plus as well as cable, but for those of us who don't want to pay for cable, we will instead pay for about 10 streaming services. It really just amounts to the price of cable as it is anyways. So with that said, we're going to jump right into the video and we're going to talk about just a little bit of everything plus little things that I discovered reading different articles today after the dust has settled from the finale and what the actors are up to and all that kind of stuff. As far as the finale is concerned, I think that it had it all. It had action, it had hope, it had closure, had reveals, and it did have some gut-wrenching moments as far as the people that we did lose, because you can't have a finale without losing a few people. But it had a little bit of everything. I found that the episode was a proper closure, but at the same time, it did leave you with a lot of questions because certain characters did not get a detailed closure as much as other characters might have gotten, or just the different things that they did leave open for the spin-offs and everything. But we're going to jump right into it right now. The episode starts off with our survivors still in this alley trying to fight off all these walkers, as well as Daryl with Judith going to this clinic trying to find the doctors. But he gets there, the whole place is abandoned. This was kind of a plan by Pamela, or it was kind of just a consequence of her stupid decision making. So it was just what she had to do, and she got these walkers in and started boxing everybody into this alley and all the lower inhabitants, or what she calls them, or lower level people, and basically dooming all kinds of people to a horrible death. She wants to save her own ass as well as the ass of all her rich friends or people of the estate, this fenced-in community that we find. And so it really starts off strong. It's got Daryl and, like I said, Judith trying to find help, and during this, Daryl actually gets knocked out. That's where he gets that black eye that we saw in a lot of the photos and everything. And Judith has to pull herself together for the few minutes that she can to close off the clinic before walkers getting it in, because they're flooding the whole area. And then we get back to the herd, and right then and there, they did not waste any time. They killed people. They killed our first two victims of the finale, and one of them didn't really care about because I didn't really know much about her character, and I think she only popped up here and there. But I was sad to see the other one go down, and the other one was Luke. He went down trying to save Jules, his girlfriend, and in the process, of course, he got bit, and then they get him to the hospital, remove the leg that he got bit on. It was too late. He loses too much blood, and he unfortunately fades away. And it's just all a very emotional thing. And it's just a very powerful moment as far as losing that character. Even though we just got him back after being gone for so long, it was a big mystery of what happened to Oceanside and his character and all the people involved in that community. We did get that answered last episode. But we finally get him back just enough time to lose him, which really sucks, but you have to have your quota of people that have to die for a finale for it to be, powerful and everything. So it moves along. The clinic that they're in eventually does get flooded in, and they make their way to escape and everything. And with everyone getting out and escaping, and they do find the children. We find Coco again, as we saw from the photos. Rosita holding Coco on top of that ambulance as she's trying to make her escape into that open window to Eugene and Gabriel. It is here that we all suspected that she was going to jump and not make it, and they would both perish within the horde of walkers. But she does get out, but as it turns out, it was not completely unscathed. She reveals later, during this kind of in-between moment to Eugene, that she's not going to make it. She was bitten on the shoulder, and she's accepted her fate. And she reveals this also to Gabriel in kind of a really emotional moment, because her and Gabriel are together. She reveals this, and She wants to keep it quiet. She doesn't want anyone to know because they're still in the midst of trying to liberate the Commonwealth from Pamela's control. And as they're all holed up in this apartment, they hear gunshots going off. So soldiers are actually shooting people as they try to climb over this gated community fence. And so that's when they decide they need to make their move. Mercer decides that he can't stand by and let people die. He gets out and kind of gets all these soldiers that were on his side, gathers them up, and gets the other ones to kind of break down as well. And while this is happening, Gabriel and the rest of the survivors, they all swarm this little group of soldiers and everything. And Gabriel's going to walk up and open the gate and let these people in that are minutes away from dying. And he gets, of course, threatened by one of the soldiers, but he eventually backs down, and all the soldiers realize what they're doing is completely fucked up. And it's at that moment that the other female soldier that was kind of by Pamela's side at that moment decides this is wrong and gives control back to Mercer, and they arrest Pamela rather than have her killed, which was minutes away or seconds away from happening because Maggie and Negan were standing off in the distance and they were ready to snipe her and take her out. But they see that she's getting arrested, and Negan kind of says that this is a fate that is far worse than death. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but to her or people like her, this is a fate that is worse than death. She's going to spend the rest of her life behind bars for crimes against the people of the Commonwealth. And so they let all these people in, they get them to safety, and then it's decided the only way to take care of this horde is to fill up the tunnels and the sewer systems and the fountain that's in the quarter, I guess, of this gated community with drums of gasoline. They lead all the walkers in with music, and they set a timer basically with this bomb. As these walkers are all coming in and flooding this community, and the explosion gets triggered, this is a massive fucking explosion. It just levels the entire area, and it's just like, holy crap. You know, it was one of those real shock and action type moments where it was a good moment for the finale, and the way that the blast was so powerful, it just incinerated and decimated walkers and just made them look like they were in a nuclear blast for the most part. And after this, we see Pamela in jail. Daryl and Carol are there, and Pamela's trying to make it sound like she's making hard decisions, sending all these random people off to die that were being sent off to these camps and everything, and what people get what, as far as what people get what houses, and just what people can be privileged amongst others. And Carol just basically says, well, she's it's kind of a funny but kind of a bitch moment. She says, well, at least we don't have to worry about who we're going to give your house to, because her house was the epicenter of that explosion where that whole drum bomb was set up. We leave her locked up in her cell. She's going to spend the rest of her days behind bars for what she did and the people that she got killed and how she ran things. And they go from there. They go into this big celebratory dinner amongst our people, and it is there that Rosita reveals everything that's happened, how she's not going to be there, and they give her this peaceful death in bed. And she's sitting there during her last minutes talking to Eugene. It's just a really emotional moment where Eugene just says that he would not be the man he is if it wasn't for her, and how much he loves her. And sadly, she does succumb to the bite and pass away. And little tidbit that I found out about that, Christian Serratos actually requested that death. It was not actually planned. She said that she wanted to give one last heartbreak to the Walking Dead fans, so she actually asked for that death. And she got what she wanted. It was a kind of a blow to the fans and everything, because she'd been with the series in season 4. We saw someone who was somewhat of an original character that we did lose. It was very much a surprise to the fans and everything, and it was very difficult to see her go, but it was, I think, the better of the alternatives. We could have seen her go down in that walker horde and get devoured, and that just would have been, I think, an unfitting end to her character. She got a peaceful passing, and her daughter is alive and well. And as it is with Walking Dead, after it's all said and done, they do, in fact, do a time jump, but it's only a year, and we see that the Commonwealth is prosperous. We see that Alexandria is doing very well for itself. And kind of one thing, because we go back to Alexandria and we see everyone's doing very well. And there's this moment where Maggie is talking to Daryl and Carol. She says she wants to talk about the future. I actually read today that in that background scene before they kind of zoom in on that frame, Chandler Riggs, also known as Carl, is in the background. He's wearing a kind of farmer's hat and he's doing some farm work behind them. He was actually on set to visit because it was the last day of filming, and he just wanted to come there and see it wrap up and see his friends and everybody that he worked with over the years. And they said, well, hell, why don't you just get in the background of the scene? And that's exactly what he did. So we got a little bit of a surprise there. He had a hidden cameo, and we see, and then after that, we see that Daryl goes off to say goodbye to Carol because they are the only two original cast members from season 1. We know that Maggie is technically an original too, but as far as season 1 originals, they are the only two left out of the entire series. And we see them say goodbye to each other. Daryl rides off, and then it jumps to our kind of end of the episode, end of the series reveal that everyone was waiting for. Everyone was dying to know if it was going to happen, and we got it. We got the reveal and return of Rick Grimes and Michonne. No one expected Michonne to come back, but we see it's just kind of flashes of them, and it's voiceovers, and they're sitting there writing in this journal, and it turns out it's the same journal. The personal effects that what sends Michonne on her mission in the first place is there's that bag, and there's those boots, and there's the iPhone with the picture carved into it. This stuff that sent her on this mission was actually Rick's, and he was in the midst of what seems to be his attempt to escape the CRM, and from what I gathered in the context, when he gets captured, this is not the first time that he's tried to escape. Just the things that they say to him when they see him, it's on a very personal level. We see that he's trying to get away, and he takes these bag of personal belongings, the things that Michonne has, and chucks them onto the boat. And this looks very much like the boat that is drifting along that she finds with those things on it. And when he gets captured, they say that, come on, Rick, you know what he said, that there's no escape for the living. And so it sounds like he's done this multiple times over that 6-year period, so that would explain why he's been gone as long as he has, and the failed attempts that he's had in getting back home. We were set up for their miniseries that is coming. It's supposed to be a limited thing, 1 season, 1 and done, from everything that I've heard and read. But they recapture him, and during the fading out scene, we see him just flash this smile. So it kind of insinuates or whatever that he has not given up, that he's going to find his way home. And we see also Michonne, when she's first reintroduced back into this little bit of footage, she's in this like battle armor. It's kind of samurai looking. And her horse as well does have some leather protection all over it. And her closing moment is her charging at what looks like the largest horde of walkers that we have ever seen. So it leaves you feeling hopeful that they are going to give us a proper close to their story, and also explain where the fuck Rick has been for the last 6 years, 7 with the 1-year time jump that we got at the end of the show. And I'm sure it'll explain, what happened when he got there. Hopefully they just pick up right when he lands in the CRM, what they do to bring him back, and his reaction to everything, what he's seeing. And, I'm sure he tells them that he wants to leave, and they deny it, and I'm sure it's going to be a giant shit show of him trying to escape multiple times and failing, as we saw in the end of The Walking Dead. But that closes out that scene, and then the show ends along with this audio montage of all these past characters all saying that we get to live, or we're the ones that live. It's kind of a throwback to something Rick said way back in season 5 or 6, I want to say, maybe later. And there was one moment within the last few minutes within Alexandria that I really liked. It was a conversation between Negan and Maggie. It was a much overdue conversation, but it was Maggie basically telling Negan, even though that he has been changing, he's making an effort to change, and she's grateful that she's grateful that he saved her son and the things that he's done for the community since he escaped from prison way back when, and just everything that he's done to contribute in general. She still tells him she cannot forgive him for what he did to Glenn. She says that all she has is her memories. She says how Glenn was beautiful, and she remembers his smile and the way that he made her feel. But when she looks at him, all she can see is that bat coming down on his head and blood running down his face and him crying out for her and Negan mocking him as he's dying. And it was just kind of a really emotional, powerful moment. And we understand that Maggie doesn't forgive him, but she's working on it. She doesn't hate him. She says that she cannot continue to hate him and she cannot continue feeling how she's feeling with all this hate, and she doesn't want Herschel to see anyone have this kind of power over her. A lot of emotional and powerful moments. We lost Luke and Jules in the beginning. Luke's death was very drawn out. It's had him surrounded by Yumiko and Magna and all the rest of his survivors that he was introduced with. Just a fucking emotional mess saying goodbye to this character. And then we lost Rosita, who was a very near and dear character for a lot of people within the cast. And even though she requested this heartbreak, it was still nonetheless very hard to take. It was a very, very good episode. It exceeded expectations. I, for one, did not think we would get Rick. And then we got Rick and Michonne. So I was very surprised by that and very happy that they were able to bring those characters back, that those actors were willing to do this. And I'd read that this was like one of the last things that they filmed, and they brought Andy and Michonne back to Sonoy, Georgia to film this with the original crew because they didn't want to just hire this temp crew to come in some random area to film it. They wanted to film it back home for the most part to properly close out the series and probably say goodbye to all these crew members that had been with them years ago. In some aspects it was perfect, but still left you with a lot of questions and a lot of open ends as far as characters. And honestly, I think we will probably see some of these characters again with the spin-offs, with how Daryl leaves. He says he's going to be back. To Judith, he says he's going to bring Rick and Michonne home. So I'm hoping that they bring her back. I'm hoping that they reintroduce this and bring some of these characters back and give that whole side of the universe a proper and fair close as they plan to with Rick and Michonne's story. Hopefully there is some reunions down the way, but we'll see. We'll see how well Daryl's series does, and because a lot of people are not happy with the whole him waking up in France randomly. So anyways, guys, that was a lot of information thrown at you. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, guys, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And I guess that'll do it. I'll see you later. Bye.